What's up guys? Justin here with another YouTube video. Today I wanted to go over my top 3 tips to make fitness a habit. The first thing I want you to know is that it's really hard at first, no matter what, because you're making a change. It's not a habit yet, so it's not something that's just automatic. Now at this point in my life, I still have hard days. I still have times when I have a hard time with it, but most of the time it's just automatic. I don't even think about it. And you have to rely a lot less on motivation and discipline because it's just something you do. So the first thing that really made a difference in my life was reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'll link it down in the description so you guys can pick it up if you want. But I'm going to touch on 2 really main points. He goes pretty deep in the book. It's a whole book. I'm just going to go over 2 points from that book and then 1 point from my own life. But the first thing I wanted to go over is called identity-based habits. So James talks about 2 types of changes that people try to make. They try to make outcome-based changes and identity-based changes. So outcome-based changes would be something like you say, I want to run a 5K, or I want to lift, 315, I want to bench 315, right? You come up with that goal and then you start working towards it, right? But sometimes that doesn't really work. And the reason that doesn't really work is because if you don't see yourself as somebody who can do that, then your actions aren't in line with who you see yourself as. So our actions will always line up with our identity, with who we believe we are. So if you create a goal, say, you're a couch potato, right? And you want to start running. So you create a goal to run a 5K. You're going to stop training because it doesn't align with who you are. So for example, in the book, he talks about somebody who's stopping smoking, right? If you offer someone a cigarette that's trying to stop smoking, right? And they say, no, thank you, I'm trying to stop smoking. They still identify as a smoker. They still identify as someone who's doing something that they're trying to stop. And they're more likely to actually give in eventually as people keep offering them cigarettes because they don't identify as somebody who doesn't smoke. Whereas if you offer somebody else a cigarette and they say, no, thank you, I don't smoke. Even though they are trying to stop smoking, they said, I don't smoke. And it's because they identify with that. They identify as somebody who doesn't smoke already. And they're more likely to consistently turn down cigarettes and stay, smoking free for the rest of their lives. And so it's a simple mindset shift, but it's really huge when you think about it. So what you need to do is take your goals, right? So you've got a goal to run a 5K. What kind of person runs a 5K, right? Probably somebody who's consistent. Or say you have a time goal, right? You want to run a sub 20-minute 5K. That's something that's a lot of people want to do, right? So what kind of person runs a sub 20-minute 5K? Well, the type of person who's consistent and disciplined, right? So then the goal becomes to be somebody who's consistent and disciplined and to become a runner, right? So your identity needs to be a consistent and disciplined runner. So your goal is now not to run a 5K your goal is still to run a 5K under 20 minutes, but what you're working towards is that identity, right? So it was really powerful when I read the book because James talks about a friend he knows who lost over 100 pounds. She was pretty overweight by just asking herself every day, what would a healthy person do? Every day, for every decision she had to make, she would ask herself, what would a healthy person do? And then she would do that, right? So in our example, if you want to be a consistent and disciplined runner and you decide you're going to get up at 5 a.m. to run every day before work or school or whatever you have going on, right? Then you wake up in the morning, your alarm, and you think, man, I really don't want to get up. But in the back of your mind, you hear, what would a consistent and disciplined runner do? And then you answer, they would get up. And then you get up just because that's who you are. You say, that's who I am, right? And it's really hard at first because our identities are things that we need proof of, right? So I can't just say I am Ulig Kipchoge and believe that, right? I know that's not true. So if you're, say, an overweight couch potato and you want to become a runner, you just saying I'm a runner is not going to make you believe you're a runner, right? You can say it all day long, you're not going to believe it. So every action you take is a vote for the type of person you are. So you're sitting there, you say, man, what would a consistent, disciplined runner do? They would run at this time, right? But then in the back of your mind, you're going to say, actually, I'm not a runner. But every action you take is a vote for the person you're going to become, for the way you're going to see yourself. So you're sitting there on the couch thinking, man, I'm not a runner, but I'm going to go run because I am going to become a runner. And then over time, you're going to start to believe that that's who you are, right? Even if past you would have, say you're still overweight, past you that didn't run would have looked at you now who's still overweight and thought that's not a runner. But you believe you're a runner because you're out running, right? And I believe that anybody that's out running, no matter the pace, no matter the shape or size, is a runner, right? So you can take that example to anything, right? Any goal you have, you can work it backwards to what kind of person accomplishes this goal. And then I want to become that type of person. I didn't want to go swim today. I actually got to the pool. There was a ton of people there. It was super crowded. And I was like, I'm probably just going to go home. But I said, no, I got to stay. I got a swim to do. So I stayed, spot opened up, and I swam, and there's another cookie in the cookie jar, as David Goggins says, for the person I am, right? So next time when I go to the pool and think, man, I really don't want to swim today, I can think, no, I'm the type of person who's consistent and disciplined and overcomes these things, and I'll swim. The second tip I have is to make it easy. So like I said, it's going to be really hard at first, and even now I have hard days, right? So you have to remove all the friction in your life. So you might have a busy job. I'm going to school, full-time college, and I have a 9-to-5. So I don't have kids. If you have kids, it's a whole nother thing. But, life throws everything at us. That's one thing that really surprised me, getting a job, starting college. Things just really build up really fast. So you really have to be intentional about removing all the friction points, because every point of friction in your life is a point where you can change your mind and say, no, I'm actually done. I quit. I don't want to do this. So for me personally, that looks like getting my clothes ready the night before. So the night before training, because I train early in the morning, I will get my shoes out, all the clothes I need out. I'll get my nutrition out for the morning because I always eat something, even if it's just a banana before I train. I'll pack my lunch, and I've already got my meal prep breakfast burritos. If you want to check those out, I'll link those up above, whichever side it ends up being. And I can eat those on the way to work. So that's my whole morning already done. I just get up, put my clothes on, have my nutrition, get out the door to run or bike or lift, whatever I'm doing that day. I don't have to think about it. I get back, I shower, I shave, I get ready for work. I grab my lunch out of the fridge. I throw the breakfast burritos in the microwave, take them out with me, get in the car, eat the breakfast burritos on the way to work. My whole morning is regimented. There's no friction whatsoever. And it really works for me because I don't have any reason not to train, right? If I got up, my clothes were still in the washer, or I couldn't find them because they were in the dryer, I hadn't made my lunch, my breakfast wasn't ready, there's all these reasons not to train, right? And all these points, you're like, oh, do I train? You could say yes or no, right? People obviously still say yes and can train, but over time you're giving yourself a lot of points where you can quit, and a lot of points of contention that really exhaust you mentally, right? It's exhausting to make all these miniature decisions. So my whole morning is just laid out, right? No friction. Another thing, my pool is 5 minutes away from my house. That's really nice. It's going to be a little farther away when we move, but there's another one a little closer that I might go to. So that's really nice. And my home gym, right? I love going into the gym, but I have my home gym here and I use it a lot of the time because it reduces that friction of driving. One thing I'm pumped for moving is I'll be closer to the gym I like to go to. But I'll still probably use the home gym a lot just because it's right there. Super consistent, super easy, and no friction, right? So point number 1 is identity-based habits. Point number 2 is make it easy. And point number 3 isn't from Atomic Habits actually, but it's something I've learned, and it's accountability. You need an accountability partner. Personally, I pay a coach. I've had a coach for the last 2 years, and it's not cheap. I understand not everybody can pay a coach, but that's helped me stay consistent in those times when I really didn't want to go train, right? Really helped me stay consistent because I get up and I'm like, man, I don't want to go train, but I don't want to have to explain to my coach why I didn't train, right? So that's a huge thing to me. If you can't hire a coach, one thing I recommend is getting somebody that will keep you accountable, a friend or family member, and making a bet with them basically. Hey, if I don't do this one day outside of an emergency, an illness, or an injury, an actual injury, not just a little niggle, right? An actual injury, I owe you money. So I've got a friend that I actually was talking to earlier this week who said he, lifts all the time, but he's still got a lot of this body weight and he's trying to bring some body fat down, and he wants to do cardio every day after his workout. So he lifts five days a week and he wants to do a mile walk, run every day, but he just never does it. I told him he needed to do it. take a screenshot of it and send me a text every day. I said, if you don't do it, you owe me 50 bucks. I said, and if you do it for a month, I'll pay you 50 bucks. And so he agreed to that. So, over the next month, we'll see what happens. But, 50 bucks isn't a small amount of money, right? So I'm assuming, hopefully it does what I intended, which is it keeps him motivated to get out and do that 1 mile walk run, even when he doesn't feel like it. So to summarize, the 3 things are create identity-based habits. So come up with a goal, whatever your goal is, and work backwards from that. What type of person accomplishes that goal? And then seek to become that type of person. Tell yourself you're that type of person, and every action you take is a vote for the type of person you're going to become. So remember that. Number 2 is make it easy, reduce friction, lay out everything you need, meal prep, do everything you need to do to reduce all the friction points that you have in your life. And number 3 is accountability. Hire a coach, have an accountability partner, friend or family member, but put some stake in the game, put some money on the line or something that's really going to keep you consistent versus just having to tell this person you didn't do it, right? Those are my top 3 tips for staying consistent and making fitness a habit. Remember, once it's a habit, it's easy. You don't have to think about it most of the time. So you just have to get through that initial stage. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys got something from that. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.